Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to The Crossover. Starring Josh Johnson and Chris McGill. Featuring Christina Thorson. And of course, you, the Instagram live chat. Now, sit back and enjoy this week's edition of The Crossover. Powered by Card Ladder.
How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Where are we? Where are you guys?
We are back in New Haven, Connecticut.
Nice.
After a weekend in New York City.
Nice.
Yep. Very nice indeed. All right, we've got plenty of people in here pretty quickly. Let's get this show rolling. I'd like to welcome everybody to The Crossover. Today is Friday, August 23rd, and we start with mail days. You have a mail day, right?
Yes, but I know yours is much, much better, so I will go first.
Yeah.
You agree. All right. I have a couple like random girly cards that I added this week. Nothing crazy. Cracked Ice, Rookie Auto. I have the other one. There's two variations, which is whatever. There's like receiving one and a running one. This is the running one. These are at 23. And then National Treasures RPA out of 10, the gold version. I think I have the silver, the 99, and now the gold.
Very nice.
And then one more. This is a random one. We'll see how it works out. Devontae Adams. You know I'm big on the receivers. Devontae Adams Superfractor Auto Topps Platinum. Kind of a random product. I have the girly Platinum non-auto Super, but I just really like Topps Supers. So, and this is on card. I think a lot of these are like stickers, but this one's on card, so it's pretty sweet.
That's awesome. Did all of these just happen to come in since the last show, or were you holding some for a while?
I made a cash trade with Flawless Gem Sports Cards. I sold him a LeBron and took on. I was like, "Do you have any football cards while we're here?" Because he usually has some cool stuff. So
nice, very nice.
All right,
what are the odds that somebody would have some Todd Gurley and Devontae Adams grails just waiting?
I know where all 4 people are that have those types of cards.
All right, congrats. That's awesome. All right, I'll do my mail day.
Mail day. Hey, we got one?
Well, we have 5.
Okay.
The first one is the Jokic insert from Don Russ Elite called Power Formulas. It's a 1 of 1 of 1. Bought it raw on eBay and graded it at PSA 8 at Fanatics Fest. This next is a Don Russ base Jokic from 2021. That, by the way, spoiler, these are all going to be Jokic cards. It's the Black Choice 1 of 1, 1 of 2 1 of 1s.
Probably all 1 of 1s.
I think they are, actually, yeah. Also, that one was graded at the show but bought in advance. This I actually picked up at the show. I always love when I can find a Jokic 1 of 1 at a show. It's almost a guarantee I'll buy it. This is the only 1 of 1 from 2023-24 Crown Royale base set.
Are you more willing to buy 1 of 1s in person at a show than you would be online?
Yeah, probably a little bit more so, I think, yeah. All right, this was not picked up at the show. It was picked up the day before the show, but the deal had been arranged a few days prior. This is Jokic's Don Russ rated rookie, the only 1 of 1.
Oh, my.
And then finally, the 2017 Immaculate Jokic Logo Man autograph 1 of 1, picked up at the show, but it had been arranged previously and graded at the show and got a PSA 8. And so what kind of makes this card special is it's the first game-worn Logo Man autograph of Jokic from Immaculate.
Oh.
So it was a Jokic-heavy run that I'm on.
So is that your first logo or your first Logo Man auto?
First Logo Man auto. Yeah, first Logo Man anything, to my knowledge, I think.
Yeah, not even just Jokic. First Logo Man.
Yeah. Yep, I think that's right.
What do you think?
I have a McCaffrey Shield autograph.
Right.
But that's the first Logo Man autograph. Yeah.
You like it?
Yeah, I do. I do like it. I like Immaculate. Immaculate is, I think, the shiniest of the patch auto products.
And it's got the most color on the design. Not just like the white background.
It does. It definitely does. All right. Announcements. Do we have any card ladder announcements?
We have one.
Let's go.
This comes via our friend Nat Turner. This was his idea. Let's shrink this down. So on the industry tab, if you are near the top and you see monthly volume, if you scroll down a little bit, we added this new section, excuse me, where we actually show you a breakdown of the top 5 platforms for that month in sales volume. This isn't like a ton of data. We didn't plot this on a graph. We don't show every month, but we will show the previous month. So this would have been for July of 2024. You can see the breakdown here. Nothing too crazy, but it is interesting to kind of see. These ratios are pretty consistent month to month. Obviously, like Golden had their Golden 100 this month. So the next month that we show it, they'll have a higher number, and then Heritage and Fanatics will kind of bounce around and stuff. So pretty interesting. And eBay is always like 10x the other guys.
At least, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, that's awesome. Okay, let's get to the questions. And I saved all the questions we didn't get to last time, so maybe if there's time, we'll even get to some of those.
If you have questions from Prison Mike, cut them.
I think there is a Prison Mike question, actually.
I'll ignore it. I'll just even pretend you're not even talking.
All right, I'm just moving that one to the very back.
Excellent.
All right. All right, let's go. First up, we're going to do some card show questions, get those out of the way. Leather Helmet Sports Card says, please discuss the amazing moment when DeCaptain37 met and sold cards to Tom Brady. And Splendid Sports says, do you think Tom Brady used Venmo, PayPal, or the Cash App?
These are the questions we need. That's a real question.
To pay for his cards. Yeah. So, any thoughts?
He probably paid on like a IOU. He probably gave him like an IOU paper. He didn't have money. He's like, Venmo, what is that? Can I wire you like in a couple weeks?
Yeah. Yep. Like in Dumb and Dumber when they just pay for everything with that suitcase full of IOUs.
250,000. Might want to hang on to that one.
This actually relates. First of all, I saw Kevin at the show, and I told him I've watched his content in one form or another for at least 5 or 6 years. And back from when he was a teacher to when he went to cards full time, and he's always been huge on Brady. So it was like watching an arc complete or a storyline come full circle, seeing him get that moment with Brady. So nice moment.
Yeah.
What did you think about the moment?
I thought it was great. Because we know Kevin, he's actually a collector / dealer. It's nice to see people who deserve it actually get to meet these celebrities as opposed to the influencers that just sort of shove their way in. This is actually a good moment.
Definitely. All right. And then from WTF Frankie, we have, did having a card show at a building with a Starbucks and no bathroom lines make you dream?
Not just one Starbucks, but 2 Starbucks.
Yeah.
And one of them you could order ahead, and the other one had a special line. If you had an app, you could cut everyone else if you had the Starbucks app.
So let me get this straight. There was more Starbucks at this show than there were bathrooms at National.
Yeah.
Correct.
That kind of sums it up for me.
Yeah. It's legit. Like, all right, so I'll provide some thoughts on FanFest here.
Yeah, start with Javits.
Yeah, Javits, the logistics were just professionally done. I never had to wait in line for a bathroom. There were plenty of bathrooms throughout the venue, plenty of places to sit down anytime you needed to sit down, and tons of food options and they had a full service bar in there as well. So food, drink, whatever you wanted was there, which feels like that's about this. I mean, the bar might be a little above and beyond, but that's the standard for a good venue that has tens of thousands of people attending. So
yeah. How about air conditioner and Wi-Fi?
Yeah, Wi-Fi I don't know about. I never really.
Good.
It was good.
Everyone was saying it was amazing.
Wi-Fi was good, and the temperature was completely fine in there too. So no, like logistics wise, like are there any other logistics points that I'm not? I guess like getting in and out.
Yeah,
parking maybe, or like parking and getting to it.
That doesn't get a super high grade from me, just because you have to pick your expensive New York hotel to stay at.
Yeah.
And we stayed at one that's about 2 miles away, so basically, or a little bit more. So basically, those are cab rides, at least one way. And after a while, you just get sick of riding in the herky-jerky cab that's, shooting every gap in traffic, and you're just car sick by the time you get there. So that's but I don't know how you improve that. But that's one thing that I wish was not happening, but did happen. But otherwise, very clean entry and exit. Was never difficult to hail a cab or to get transportation in and out, and you could walk in and out at your leisure. So that was nice.
And then what about people getting in, dealer badges, like any of that kind of drama? Because I know that was a big deal at National with people trying to sneak in and stuff like that.
I don't know. I didn't hear one way or the other.
I got yelled at a few times when I was supposed to not be on the show floor anymore.
Okay.
I didn't have an exhibitor badge.
That's interesting. So they were strictly enforcing closing time. When it was closing time, the lights went out and security pushed everybody down the aisles, down the aisle every 30 seconds, just give another push. And they really got people out of there, which was good, I think. But I guess some people, it's not normal for that to happen in cards. Normally people linger for hours after the quote unquote end of the show.
Right.
And so, some people were trying to do deals, and the deals got interfered with. Logistics wise, I think it was a solid A.
And then what about the FanFest split with the card show?
Yes. So I have some thoughts about that. So I went over and walked on the FanFest side, and I thought that was nice. They had a display that had a Super Bowl ring from every Super Bowl. They had some fun stuff where you could run a 40-yard dash or shoot baskets or hit a puck with a hockey stick. You could go in and buy jerseys and clothes from a Fanatics pop-up store. Lots of just family-friendly fun over there. Great way to, I think, kill an afternoon with your family for, these booths don't cost you anything. Cost you to get in, but the booths don't cost you anything. So I thought that was nice. The thing that was a little bit off-putting to me was the 40-40 club that got built in the center of everything.
Okay.
It's just this huge box that got built in the center of the show floor. And the acoustics in this place are really good. So if you walked far enough away from it, you couldn't hear it. But when you're walking by it, it was just blaring music loudly, and you could hear a DJ shouting. Yeah, there it is. There it is. That's a great visual of it right there. There you go.
It's just sort of red carpet kind of vibe.
Yeah. Yeah.
With celebrities and shit.
Yep. Yeah. There's a guy right there that almost looks like me. You see that guy right there?
Yeah. Who is this? Is this Travis Scott? It's all blurry. I can't see. Oh, it's Jay-Z. Sorry. I wasn't really. It's Jay-Z.
Jay-Z. Okay, yeah. And so this was, you probably need to provide a VIP experience to get Travis Scott and Jay-Z to come. They don't want to just be set up in a corner somewhere, right?
I would, but yeah, I got you.
Right. But, it's a little obnoxious. There were big lines of people waiting to get into there, so it made it difficult sometimes to navigate around the box.
I don't think they were able to get in. I think they were just, waiting there to see people.
So it's like this like what is it, like a fishbowl kind of scenario?
Yeah, it's a fishbowl that you cannot see inside of.
Yeah.
But on top of the fishbowl, there's a VIP section where there was people hanging out up there, and there was lines of people just outside of this thing, just kind of looking at it, and
So was it like
some waiting to get in.
Was it located in a place where it just was like close to everything else and you could just hear it? It wasn't off to the side?
It was in the dead center.
Yeah, okay.
Like if you were crossing from one from one side to the other, like you encountered this box.
Yeah, so maybe if they just like kind of put it in a corner without putting it in a corner.
Yeah, I mean, here's my take. It's a celebrity culture thing. Some people love celebrity culture. They go to Hollywood to just see what celebrities might walk by them on Hollywood Boulevard, or they set up at a Starbucks in Los Angeles and just hope that they see, a famous actor or writer or director or something. So I get it. Like, some people love that, but I just don't. I would be happy if we didn't have that at all. And if instead of sort of orienting the experience around celebrity worship, if instead the experience was oriented around enhancing the RPG aspect of a card show, which is what we love about it. Everybody at a card show is the main character in their own game. They're going around, they're making deals, they're looking at cards.
Yeah.
And they're all high value attendees to a show, because they're all, ostensibly spending money and making deals and being active and doing things.
Did you feel that they oriented the show around this being the main attraction?
No, I don't think they did, but I do think that, like, you really have to treat high-end celebrities with a large degree of a VIP experience. And I think what's interesting that I noticed is, like, I think that there's a second level to this. Like, for us in the card community, we're like, oh, are we supposed to be impressed by these celebrities? Some of us are, some of us could do without it. But there's another game being played too, and that is Michael Rubin is probably always fundraising, or at least seeking prospective investors at the institutional high-end level. Similar, and like when you're coming in to buy into a company like Fanatics, it's like buying into a sports team, a sports franchise. Like, you're not just buying into Fanatics for an ROI. You're buying into Fanatics because it gains you access as an important stakeholder and business person to hang out with Jay-Z in the Javits Center for a weekend, and to be around Tom Brady and to be around Michael Rubin. So, like, I think that's something else that's going on in the background that we don't necessarily see from our point of view, is that Michael Rubin is selling an experience to potential stakeholders and Fanatics who might want to plop $1 billion into it. And seeing that you get access to that type of experience is probably part of the show that's being put on.
Yeah. Fanatics feels like a company that has intentionally positioned itself as this like sports celebrity culture company that you can be involved in and be around, with like the white party and stuff like that. So and without having to like be a part of an actual sports team or own an actual sports team and like have to pick a city and, commit to like living in Oklahoma City, for example, this kind of gets you this third party sports culture ownership kind of deal.
Yeah, totally, dude. And I'll state this too. I thought the card show was quite good. To me, it was on par with the Dallas card show or a Burbank card show, just the New York version of it, which is great. I mean, that's as good as it gets for a regional show. And I saw people from New York that I've never seen at card shows before, that I know on Instagram and stuff, that like, this is the show that brought them out, which was pretty cool. And and then I just have like 2 critiques of the show outside of the box, and then I'll be done. And by the way, for the record, Christina, I think we had a great show. My brother was there too. I just think we all...
My brother was there.
Her brother showed up for a day too. I think we had a good show, but all right. I wonder what you think about these, Josh. So the first critique that I have is that I don't think celebrities like Jake Paul walking the floor and buying a card is moving the needle at all. I think it might even have an opposite effect. I think that the blueprint, and by the way, these are real influencers. Jake Paul, Travis Scott, Tom Brady, Jay-Z, Dana White. These who?
The gymnastics girl.
The gymnastics girl. These are people who have huge audiences that they can transmit ideas to. But Jake Paul going and buying one card, no one in his audience is thinking, wow, I can connect better to my hero Jake Paul if I collect cards now. So I think that if celebrities are going to be a part of the model to increase the collector base, the model is the model that Gary Vee demonstrated or that Steve Aoki demonstrates, which is having a big audience, having a genuine passion for cards, self-motivating to get involved on their own or with only a little bit of a push, and then for years, not just one day, not just a month, for years, tweeting about it, starting Instagram accounts dedicated to it, making videos about it, doing interviews about it, talking about it consistently to their audience. That is the blueprint for an influencer to grow a collector base from their audience organically. So that's my critique is like, if resources and attention is going to be allocated to celebrities with influence, it has to be the Gary Vee or the Steve Aoki model. Otherwise, it's not going to make an impact.
And doodling your own card sets, you forgot about that.
Yeah, well, that took a turn, that definitely took a different turn, right? And like, and that's a caution. I would issue that word of caution to any celebrity thinking about getting involved. Is like, ask Gary Vee how his interactions with the card community went, and if there's anything to learn from that, maybe, or if this is even something you want to get involved in, because I think he got a little bit contentious with some card people.
Yeah.
Not like not like keyboard warrior battles with people, but he just felt that people, weren't totally receptive to him. I think it kind of turned him off to cards a little bit. So like, if I were a celebrity, there are celebrities involved in this industry, but they do it very quietly and privately. So
yeah, the video of Jake Paul going through what he bought was really awkward. He's like, I bought this Caitlin Clark card and this like Luca Gold card, and it looked like the most random hodgepodge of Panini cards I've ever seen. I mean, it looked like something that's going to show up on a D&D on Old School tomorrow. It's just that pile of cards just didn't make any sense for him. He probably overpaid because he just doesn't really know what he's doing, and it just looked weird.
Yeah,
and it's like he's gonna forget about this tomorrow. It's like, oh, I spent $50,000 at the show. What is this stuff? I have no attachment or nostalgia for any of this stuff.
Exactly. It's a little bit, and then it comes and it goes, and like, remember everybody was so excited about Drake.
Yeah.
And now, absolutely no. People, this hasn't been talked about in years. Nobody cares.
Yeah.
It's just it's a big waste of energy and time and money, unless they're actually going to get involved in it. And as a litmus test, right? Like Gary Vee, if you were to ask him, what are some of the earliest Michael Jordan cards made? He would be able to tell you 84 Star, 86 Fleer, 85 Prism Jewel, and the 85 Interlake. He's talked about those cards. He knows those cards. He could give you a basic rundown of his card knowledge, and it's decent. Like that, people are like, Steve Aoki could probably talk at length about Marvel cards or other cards he's passionate about.
Right.
It needs to be like that. Jake Paul could not do that. Jake Paul absolutely could not. Okay, then here's my second point, my final point. I was not a VIP ticket holder. I was just a regular admission ticket holder. I know. I was on full peasant mode. Yeah, full plebeian mode on the show. But I did hear from some VIP ticket holders who paid $450 for a VIP ticket.
$50?
Yeah, $450.
Holy shit!
My understanding is that some of the gift bags, like the extent of the product given out, at least one person told me it was 8 packs of Big League Baseball. Which is
what's the delta between the $450 and not being VIP? The total of the cost?
I think it was $50 a day, regular ticket.
So it's like a $300 difference. So for $300 you get 8 packs of Big League.
You got like access maybe to some more stuff.
You had a skip the line. One-time pass. But 2 people told me they didn't get theirs in a VIP bag, so like it wasn't in everyone's VIP bag.
Well, look, whatever was in the VIP bag or wasn't, like one thing that is customary about the industry when you have a higher end ticket to an event, like Industry Summit used to be a $500 ticket to go to that, and the way that would work would be you would get $1,000 plus of clear value back out of that bag. So you would get a $500 grading voucher to Beckett's. You would get silver packs that would have the select pinks out of 4 and out of 10.
Right.
You know, somebody would get the Tom Brady out of there and they have $1,000 card immediately, but everybody would get some value out of it. There were other companies that put other things in there that created value in that gift bag. And to me, there was a low-hanging fruit opportunity here to, you know, the Topps Chrome basketball is a brand new product. Just stuff 2 boxes of Topps Chrome, which cost Fanatics, you know, the market value of those is about $500. It doesn't cost Fanatics anywhere near that to make
right.
Throw 2 of those boxes in all the VIP bags. That's $1,000 in market value right away that every VIP bag holder gets. They don't have to wait in line. They don't have to wake up early. They just get the 2 bags as part of their VIP. The next time they put VIP tickets on sale for Fanatics Fest, it will sell out instantly.
Right. Yeah. And you make it this thing where it's like, oh, last year they got 2 boxes of Topps Chrome basketball. This year, who knows? And then you make it this, like, you build it up as this big thing. I'll take it a step further. Let's say they spent like $1 million to get all these celebrities to come out. You know, Jake Paul, Jay-Z, Travis Scott. Let's just say $1 million, because that's probably not cheap to get those guys booked. Dude, just take that $1 million and freaking give it out in boxes of cards. Because you're like, best case scenario as an attendee, you get to like look at Jay-Z as he walks past you with 50 security. Like, I don't understand the value add there versus me getting $1,000 box of whatever. You know, it's just the easiest way to win over collectors is like, we've talked about this for years, like making the PSA grading and Beckett grading, making it where you can get a decent ROI as someone grading that stuff and selling it back. You're just going to keep those people so much longer. Give them boxes, put awesome stuff in their boxes, in their VIP bags.
Yeah.
Especially with the Topps Chrome, the unlicensed basketball Topps Chrome, if they gave away just 1 box to each VIP person, it would have been organic marketing of all of those people who got VIP, ripping it, talking about how they got it, like posting what they got or like selling it and talking about how they like sold it, and like it would be perfect. It was like the perfect opportunity that they fumbled to help that product, which has been shit on a lot by hobbyists.
Yeah, good point. Okay. Let's just wrap this up here. Mike Pickerton 50 says, is Fanatics Fest the future? Josh, based on what you saw, you weren't there, but you probably had a better bird's eye view than people who were there from content consumption.
Yeah.
Does Fanatics Fest feel like the future to you?
It could be. Because I've been harping on the location and the convention center for a long time. It's a big sticking point for me, and maybe I'm not the best like judge for this question because I just value like the space and the sort of like feel and experience of it more than I do necessarily like the card versus fan thing. I guess if you like do a 50-50 and you do it well, you know, I'd be able to deal with that.
Yeah.
But so if they can continue to like deliver and pick up on some of these issues you've pointed out, I think it could be.
Yeah.
I feel like National's kind of sitting on their hands a little bit too much, and they're just like assuming it'll be fine. But if this thing like keeps improving and they keep, you know, fixing some of these things, I could see it.
I agree with you. I think it could be. Right now, to be clear, it's nowhere near the National. The National is 50,000 plus people in Cleveland, you know, and it's just wall to wall, all collectors. 100,000 in Rosemont, and this was some fraction of that when it comes to collectors. I know
Yeah.
Ruben said that there were 70,000 attendees, but in terms of how many people were there with the intention of, I'm going to, buy, sell, and trade sports cards and or take in that experience somehow, it was on par with the Burbank Card Show or the Dallas Card Show or something like that. So there's a lot of room for growth in terms of making this a card show that's on par with the national. And I'm going to loop that back into my second point, which is, if you want to make this on par with the national in terms of making it a destination for collectors, you have to shift the resources away from the celebrity walkarounds and shift them into rewarding the people who go. And so if they do at the next one of these things, if they give away 2 Topps Chrome basketball hobby boxes to every VIP, dude, that next show, the attendance for card-related people buying VIP tickets, it's going to be multiples of what it is now. So yeah. I think there's like a clear opportunity to really like ramp this thing up. Is like, at least, you don't have to always do this, but at the outset especially, man, you got to give people an incentive to get there. Give them a real reason to go, and treat the collectors like the stars of the show, because at the end of the day, they are. At the end of the day, these are people who are spending a lot of money on Fanatics products or Fanatics future products.
I also saw people that I know in the hobby, dealers, collectors, who at the national were posting like pretty large deals that were happening, big cards moving, new pickups. And at this, I just didn't see much of that. I don't know if there was like less focus on it, so people were kind of distracted by everything else, and there was less deals happening, less like big cards moving. And then just today, day one of Burbank, I saw just like tons of stuff happening. People in my group chats were picking up, talking about all the deals they were doing. So it just kind of felt like, hey, this week is where we kind of chill, have some fun, check out the Fanatics Fest part of it, and we've got, so that's sandwiched in between. Like this is tons of card stuff. We got a lot of card stuff at National, a lot coming at Burbank. Let's take a break in the middle. That's just my outside perspective.
Nice. All right, let's move on here to a group of questions, about 10 or so, maybe even more, that are on the market. People are very, very interested in the market right now.
Oh, this is great. We've getting some drips of like these questions we used to get when the market started picking up. Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah. In fact, let me skip ahead to a question that, like, I sent you this question when I came in. Like, you just replied like, "We back."
I did one of those, like the guy behind the tree, that guy.
This question comes from the Mellow Collection, and the question is, what is the furthest you've ever went in acquiring a card? So, for example, taking money out of your 401k, selling off most of your collection, taking money out of emergency funds, etc. Do you have any regrets on that decision today?
You know how Mark, every time like the Mavs do something good, he posts the meme with the hat, and he's like, we back up. What is he says, like, we up or something? Is that what he says?
Yeah. That's with Stringer Bell. Yeah, we put the word out that we're back up.
Yeah, put the word out. We back up. That's what I'm thinking of right now. That's the meme.
Yeah, we don't feel good in this hobby until we're thinking about emptying out every possible financial resource we have on a card.
I'll give my little rant that I always give on this topic, and it's that we need to make it cool again to have a normal job and to take a portion of your paycheck and extra. Hopefully, you pay your mortgage, pay your ability to live, save a little bit, and then put the rest towards cards. This is like tithing or something. That's how I think about it. I don't know that I would recommend cashing out your 401k. I don't know if I morally should be doing that. So, but I feel like we've probably gotten to that point of like, okay, let's tap. We went a little over the card budget this month. Let's pull from some reserves. That's all right.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely have. This is like 6 or 7 years ago, but I've definitely depleted retirement funds to buy cards. So I don't want to be do as I say, not as I do person and become a hypocrite. But my personal advice would be have a limit. I think the limit of like cashing out some of your collection to get a bigger card is great. I think that can be reasonable as long as you've got a reasonable amount of resources tied up in your collection. But taking money out of 401k and stuff like that, like that's probably not sound. Probably not a sound decision.
Well, we've had this feeling, I'm sure you've had it, where if I don't buy this card today, I'm screwed. Like, this is my only chance. I gotta buy this card. That usually doesn't. It usually doesn't work out that way. It's more of a marathon. There's a long game here where you can be a little more patient. But we know the feeling. A one-on-one rookie comes up or something like that. There's some exceptions.
Yeah, and you know what? Life is short, so
you only get one life, right?
Yeah. Yep. But in the words of Carvin, never YOLO, never FOMO. So that's the devil on the other shoulder.
Yeah.
I think that's the angel.
That's the angel, yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry.
The devil is you live once, the money is not going to go with you. Buy the card and enjoy it now.
Yeah, you know what? If you have to ask, you're not really quite as much of a card lunatic as you think you are.
Yeah.
The card lunatic has already done it.
You're not calling yourself a card fanatic anymore? That word is taken?
What was I? Or a card radical, I think.
Radical, you're right.
No, it's still true. It's still accurate. I just want to preach a responsible message.
Yeah.
All right. Next topic here we have is from In Cardboard Veritas, who says 18 Card Ladder monthly indexes are in the green and 12 are in the red. What year are we in?
This is 2020, baby. Let's go.
Well, football. Okay, just the last month, the football index is up 6%, which is astonishing.
At that.
Football's been bleeding a few percent every month for like 2 years.
High end is up.
High end is up 3.5%. High pop is up 3.5%. Baseball's up 3%. Vintage up 3%. Basketball up 2%.
CL 50 is down. People are moving away from the boring cards and moving into the high end and the football and the more kind of volatile stuff.
Maybe. I mean, look, like you know what an interesting chart is that like 99% of users are not gonna get any value out of, but like we could talk about it here. On the industry tab, there's a chart called the verified monthly volume, and the month of July set the all-time low.
Someone messaged me about this, and they were really worried. They were like confused and worried.
Well, there's nothing to be confused or worried about, but because this is what it means. First of all, it means me and Christina and Kyle and Joel are doing less work than other months, which is nice. But just verified volume, the cards that we verify sales for are cards that transact pretty frequently. And we don't go out of our way to build profiles of super rare cards that don't. The purpose of a card profile is to track sales. Like, if the card only sells once every 2 years, there's not much to track. But you can find that stuff through sales history instead. So the fact that the verified monthly volume is at an all-time low, I mean, literally, it's lower than what it was in July of 2020. So the fact that it's at an all-time low, but the fact that the total monthly volume is steady at 200 million for the last 2 years. It's going up and down a little bit, but it's just steady at 200 million. What that says is money is moving away from the cards that we verify sales for, which are, 86 Fleer, which is a great card, 2003 Topps Chrome, 1996 Topps Chrome, 2018 Prism. Money is moving away from those and into other things. The money's still there, still 200 million. It's just moving away from the types of cards that we target as being track worthy for the ladder and being worth taking the time to verify. And what's interesting about that is that the fact that the indexes are going up in an environment like that. Remember, the indexes are only composed of cards that we verify. So the index is going up in that environment, is quite bullish. It's quite bullish because the indexes should probably still be going down in light of the fact that the volume is going down. So interesting stuff there to consider for sure.
Yeah, that is interesting that it keeps going down. It feels like I want to pin this as like the Wemby Prism era right now, where it's like there's so many parallels that we just we can't even like get our arms around all of them, and nobody in the industry can. But money's being spent on all these parallels, and people are trying to figure out the hierarchy, and there's so much money coming in, and the money is consistently being spent on all these cards, but individually, these individual cards that are tracked by us and that sell frequently are actually going down in value a decent bit. And there's also this surge of people trying to figure out what are going to be the Panini cards that last past this little era of Wemby and into the era of Fanatics. What are the Panini cards I should be locking up and stashing away? And it's like the blacks and the golds and stuff like that. So it is like this really interesting little window we're in right now. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, it is time to start thinking about that. The bookend on the licensed Panini era for basketball and football is rapidly approaching now.
Yeah.
So I think we have 1 year of basketball left, and we have 2 years of football left, and then it's over. So it's time. Well, not even years, seasons.
Yeah.
It's less than a year left. The NBA license transfers over in less than a year.
Yep.
1 season. So it's time to start eulogizing Panini's licensed era and reflecting on what's going to matter.
What if Fanatics
and what's going to matter
doesn't make a Black Finite, or they they just don't have that their version of that, and that just dies?
Yeah. What if? That's a great question.
You gotta think about it.
Yeah. All right. Next question from Junk Wax Drake. How do you balance conflicting emotions when a segment that you collect experiences exponential growth?
So these are all, you got 10 of these.
Yeah.
What do I do when it's growing so much I don't know what to do with myself? That's what he's saying?
Yeah.
There's like cards that you collected because they're relatively cheap and you thought you could kind of just hang out and enjoy these, and now all of a sudden people are knocking down your door to buy them from you. That's a tough one. Well, if it's me, sell it to me, and if it's someone else, hold it.
Yeah.
This is what makes cards valuable. Scenario comes up like, are you going to hold or are you going to sell and then start the flipper's vortex? What's going to happen? Which path do we want to go down for this space?
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a great answer. I don't get conflicting emotions when a segment that I collect does well. I treat that as market affirmation.
Yep.
That they're good cards, and that's great because I already thought they were good cards because I own them, and then I have to make a decision to maybe move to a different sector. But I don't think I mean, there's obviously rationally minded people who would say, I'm collecting cards in a segment that just went up by 3 or 4-fold over the course of half a year. This is probably a bubble. I should sell it at the top and I can buy it back later. And that's probably the rational and the right answer. But I just have never looked at it that way personally. I've always looked at it as like, I love these cards. If their value's gone up, makes them even cooler. I guess I got to look somewhere else now. And what's fun about looking somewhere else is it's a voyage, you know. It's going from Michael Jordan to Luka Doncic to Christian McCaffrey to Le'Veon Bell to Nikola Jokic to whatever's next.
Yeah.
It's a fun journey. I've really enjoyed approaching things that way, and I keep all the best that I get. I keep. I just move on.
I was gonna say, if it does happen, you could keep your top, sell some of the ones, and you should basically just do both of what we're saying.
Great.
Sell some of the bottom ones, and then just like re-up into the top ones, and have that group of people coming into your space. They're probably going to be new to it, and you can kind of stay a step ahead and outsmart them, and just like consolidate up into the stuff that they're going to then chase the next round.
Yeah. Great point. That's the way that you can split it up and take a little bit of selling at the top, but also keep some cool cards too.
I had a comment from a friend over at DM. He said something to the effect of, I've been collecting this space for a while. Now all of a sudden, like the dealers and flippers are after my specific type of card. Can't they just go back to base PSA 10s like they were? That was what I was thinking when I gave that answer, is like, they were a couple rounds behind, like they came into the space like, oh, all I have to do is buy PSA 10 rookie cards, and that's the way to do it. And it's like, yeah, sure, you think that, and you guys keep doing that, and I'll go and grade my binder shit and sell it to you, and then get the real stuff, and we'll just keep chasing. But now some of them are circling the real stuff, and it's getting a little scary. So now we just, we got to move to racing cards or whatever.
Right, exactly. All right. PC with DPZ says, there seems to be some meaningful growth in the 90s era of cards, especially with stars from the era in specific sets. However, do you see this as a pump, or is it a real flight to quality?
Yeah, this has been building for a couple of years now. Like, we saw a trend where a majority of stuff and indexes were going down, but the 90s seemed to be going up when everything else is going down. The only thing I would point out here, in terms of, did he call it a bubble, or what did he say?
Is this a pump or a flight to quality?
The only thing that concerned me, and you might have a different answer, is I never quite understood, like, the PMG red, like Tony Delks going for $5,000 and stuff like that. I guess I never understood the random players. I think the Chauncey Billups sold for like $25,000. Did you see that? The Gem Master?
Yeah.
Stuff like that kind of confuses me. I could understand like the MJs and that stuff, like kind of going nuts for a while, because it is such a great era and the age lines up with the demographic of people coming into the space. Like I get all that, but my only caution is like some of the lower end players. But maybe that's just like because 52 tops sells for a lot, but I don't really notice like some of the lower end players selling for a ton.
Yeah, I think it's even if it's not an intentional pump, and it might be, but even if it's not, the thing that you have to be leery of is that when cards that people have routinely purchased for $200 or $500 are suddenly $2,000 to $5,000, there's going to be a strong tendency for people who own them to sell them, especially if they're not of PC players, but they're cards that they just happen to have. And that increases the supply over the normal amount. And then when the supply gets increased, even at higher prices, that's going to counteract any increased demand that exists, and the prices are going to come back down. So I would always be leery of that. When a card prices go up fast and that incentivizes people to sell them, suddenly what seemed like a barren market can become flooded with cards as people look to cash in at the new price, and then price goes right back down.
Yeah.
So
the Billups sold for $30,000.
Yeah.
And the previous high of a Billups solo card, he had a dual logo man with Richard Hamilton that sold for $15,000. His previous high sale was $4,500. So we went from 4,500 to 30.
That's crazy.
And his PMG championship, which is a rookie card, I believe, peaked at 2,800. So it just seems kind of.
Yeah, that's probably a good example. All right. But you know what, though? I mean, the final thing I'll say is that the answer to this question is a self-fulfilling prophecy. If the people who are participating in this market do believe that the cards were undervalued and now they're properly valued, then it probably is a flight to quality. However, if the people who are in the market for these cards see a raise in price as a indicator that they should sell, then it's probably going to correct.
Yeah, that kind of was the answer to the previous question. Like, Are you going to be a holder or a seller? Do you believe in the space or do you not? And it's a good decision, fork in the road. Are you a long term or are you short term?
So, all right. We got 3 questions on Peyton Manning cards I'm going to combine here. So the first one is from Bleecker Street Cards, who says, how did a 1-of-1 Ultra Peyton Manning sell for 1/3 of his essential credentials rookie? Bouvier says the Manning PMG, so this is a third card now, sold for more than the Ultra Masterpiece. Did the recent in-person autograph of the backup copy of the Masterpiece hurt the price? And then the final question is from Drake, please discuss the Peyton Manning 1998 PMG PSA 10 sale, which is what the previous question was referring to, for $100,000. What likely compels a buyer to have a sense of urgency to buy a card with 50 copies and 3 other gems at that price? And what does this say about college jersey cards? Is it becoming less of a factor to collectors? So before we do anything with these questions, let me just show the 3 cards.
Yeah.
And we can just talk about them as, they sort of come up. So this is one of the sales that was referenced. It was not referenced by Drake, but he is the person who bought it, who submitted the private sale. It's the 1998 EX 2001 Peyton Essential Credentials Feature out of 7. It's graded a PSA 9 and sold for $125,000. Let me just say one thing about this card before we go to the other ones. One of our mutual friends has a collecting philosophy. He'll do baseball, basketball, and football of the 90s. And he really only looks at PMGs, rubies, and credentials.
Right.
That's his world of cards that he collects, and that's it. And so this is the type of card, he actually was the seller of this card. This is the type of card that he's going to look at and he's going to focus on because it's within his vision. That's what he focuses on, and that's it. These other cards are just kind of out of sight and out of mind for the most part. Do you want to say anything about the credentials sale?
I mean, we're going to get to this, but this is like a big discussion around the brand, right? The specific sets and brands, the PMG's credentials versus the Ultras. Yeah.
Exactly. Okay, so here's the PMG sale that was referenced. 1998 PMG Peyton rookie year. He is wearing a college uniform. It's numbered to 50. It's a PSA 10. Sold for $100,000. And then I'll show one more Peyton sale here. This is the sale that those other 2 are being compared to.
It's a Pop 2.
Pop 2. This is and then this is the sale they're being compared to. The 1998 Ultra Masterpiece Peyton 1-of-1 card number 416 BGS 9, and it sold for $40,800 at auction. The other 2 were not at auction.
Right.
So a few things I'll point out about the Peyton. Number 1, this is a Series 2 card for Peyton Manning. It's not the Series 1. So it's like the second card in the set for those who care about whether or not a base card is the first appearing base card. This is not. But the advantage that it has is that the Series 1 Masterpiece is identical to the Platinum Medallion. And this one is not identical to its Platinum Medallion. This one has a different nameplate font color. And it also has working for it the fact that it's a pro uniform. And the Series 1 is not in a pro uniform. So it is a special card. I think if you combine this one with the Series 1, you probably get $100,000 value if you combine the 2. But that doesn't really explain why it is that, a PMG out of 50 in a college uniform in a PSA 10 is $100,000. And, the Series 2 Ultra Masterpiece is $40,800.
Did you talk about the duplicate cut?
No. Why don't you talk about that a little bit?
So, it was discovered recently that there was a second copy of that exact Masterpiece, the Series 2 one, that exists, and it had an IP auto on it of Manning, and that card is owned. He was in the chat earlier.
Yep.
That card is owned by someone in the hobby. So there was a lot of discussion and there was a lot of confusion because it kind of came out while the auction was going, and there's discussion of did that kind of hurt the auction given that the timing of that and the confusion around it. I would say yes. It's hard to say though because what if the top two people going after it weren't hindered by that, and they just kept going for it, and it didn't actually matter. So it's really hard to say with an auction. Yeah, that one. What do you think about this new little wrinkle?
Yeah, I think that's a totally valid point. I would be, if I was under the impression that there was only one copy in circulation, and then a few hours, a few days before the auction ends, I find out that there's a backup copy that probably made its way to the market through the Fleer bankruptcy of 2005.
Yeah,
I feel great about that.
Because you're like, oh, this is a masterpiece. That's awesome, 101. And then you're like, well, actually, it's Series 2. There's two of them. Oh, shit. Actually, there's three because there's a second It's like, what the fuck? All right, I'm out. There's three of these things now? Like, there is some of that going on versus the credentials, which is like, I know there's six. I know that this is highly coveted by collectors. It's got a great brand behind it. It's visually much different than the base, etc. Like there's things going on where it's like I would rather, as a collector, as an investor, as someone that wants to just like not have to worry about all this crap, I just want the credentials. So I get that. Or the PMG.
Yep. I think that's really well said. I think if we are just talking, if we don't have the cards in our hands and we're just like laying out the three checklists, the credentials checklist, the PMG checklist, and the Ultra checklist, I'm going to be inclined to say that the Ultra Series 2 1 of 1, even with it being the Series 2 and not the first appearing, I'm going to say that's the best card on paper. But you start bringing in these other factors. You start bringing in the sudden, awareness of the replacement copy, which is it's good that it got an in-person autograph on it. That's sort of some would say it's been altered, but that's not the consensus view. But that takes it out of the possibility of being mistaken for the one that just sold. So now there's a backup with an autograph. It's kind of like a novelty item. And then you have the main one that was pack issued that is supposed to be the star of the show. So that's good, but it complicates things. It puts a little asterisk on it. And then you factor in, like the points that you said about brand. And, here's the PMG brand. Here's the credentials brand. The PMG is, and that's something else to talk about, too. The PMG has 50.
Yep.
The credentials has 7.
I said 6. It's 7.
And the PSA 10 of the PMG sold right on par with or pretty close to the PSA 9 of the credentials.
Yeah. You want to know what's
again? You
want to know which one I would want?
Yeah, I'd love to know.
This is not me sucking up to Drake.
Nice.
I just I think I would just go for I would, like you said, I would probably go for the masterpiece. In most scenarios, I personally would be thrown off by this second copy, and there's 3 of them, and it's not as visually striking as the credentials to me, so I don't know.
Yeah. No, it starts to get when you start kind of adding it up too, okay, so there's the Series 2 1 of 1 masterpiece, and then it has a backup copy, so that's 2 cards. There's also a Series 1 masterpiece. It probably has a backup copy. Now it's 4 cards. So you're talking about 4 masterpieces versus 7 credentials versus 50 PMGs. It starts to...
I would want the credentials and the masterpiece. How about that? I don't want the PMG. There's 50 of them. I would rather just have a PSA 6.
Nice. All right. Fun, though. Really fun results. It's been a long time coming, from the days of his Peyton Manning undervalued to the days of, how many 6-figure Peyton sales we're going to see this week.
Yeah. If we don't start talking about football soon, I'm going to scream.
Do you want to just throw in a football question and break it up? Because I have one for you.
So badly. I'm just we have we're not doing the show next week because we have our fantasy football draft.
Right.
And I'm just it's full go. Football is here. When fantasy football week comes up, it's I'm studying all the players. I'm getting into the skill position guys, trying to figure out backup quarterbacks. It's here.
All right, let's go. Publius 13 set one up perfect for this. He says, my fantasy football auction is tomorrow. Can I get
noob?
Can I get Josh's 2024 top 3 washed running backs to avoid?
To avoid? Let me pull up the fantasy running back rankings.
Yeah, let's go.
Well, Ringer really likes Derrick Henry, so there's your number one. Derrick Henry is probably going to be watched. Let's
good.
see. Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley. I'm not a big believer in that. I feel like these teams are just like letting him walk for a reason. I usually like the younger guys for fantasy running backs. Let's see.
If anybody in my league is listening, Christian McCaffrey's washed up. I would just stay away from him.
Oh, Joe Mixon is washed.
Joe Mixon, okay.
He's washed. Dude, he's toast. He is like one of the most inefficient running backs ever. He always has like really high volume numbers, but he's terrible when he's got to go efficient. So as he gets older, he's
the running backs this year are crazy. Like, okay, Breece Hall is going to be a beast, but like, okay, so RB3 is Bijan, who like had a really weird year last year.
Yeah.
Then you've got Jahmyr Gibbs, who is good, but is there going to be splitting responsibilities there? Then you have Jonathan Taylor, who like is coming off injuries and stuff. Those are your top. That's your RB 2 through 5.
Yeah, RB. I actually like the middle guys almost as much as some of those top guys. Like I really like Kyron Williams, Pacheco, Etienne, HN, Kenneth Walker. Like some of those guys are going to be solid. Dude, Joe Mixon's career yards per carry is 4.1. That's not that good. You know what McCaffrey's is?
Probably 5-ish.
4.8. Dude, anything hovering around 5 is like incredible. That's like Jamal Charles, Barry Sanders range. Yeah. So he's 4.8. If you're in that, and he's like also seen as like a very heavy pass catcher.
Yep.
Joe Mixon is like a freaking between his tackles runner, and he's like got 4.1. All right, I'm done.
I love it. I did not see the Joe Mixon pylon coming, but I like it a lot. Dude, Fantasy Pros has Derrick Henry as their RB11. Damn.
I have him. I'm looking at one where he's. Oh, this is not PPR. We need to do the PPR ASAP. If you're not doing PPR in the year of our Lord 2024, just stop playing fantasy football.
What about non-auction drafts? Do you have any thoughts on that?
I'm okay with like regular snake if it's just kind of a you're with your family, you don't really want to like think about it too much because auction can be pretty stressful, dude. Yeah. It's like you have to you got to be on top of your shit. You can't just be winging it.
Yeah, auctions are nuts.
But if you're a serious league, I would recommend it. What do you think about auction? Do you like it?
Yeah, I think like the inflection point in the auction experience is when you finally get 2 to 3 guys.
Yeah.
And then you're like, all right, at least this wasn't a total disaster shit show. And then you can relax a little bit. But like when you're still kind of waiting to get a few guys to build up your roster, like, the walls can start to close in.
My favorite part of fantasy football is sort of like getting my guys, guys that I enjoy watching. Yeah. Either they're on teams I like or they're like skill position guys I enjoy watching. With auction, you can get all of them. You can conceivably like get all your favorite players. Whereas Snake, you don't really have that option. So auction makes it fun. But if you're doing a family league, Snake's fine.
All right. Any other players that you'd like to trash or prop up?
Well, I can't prop anybody up because you're in my auction league, dude.
Damn, yeah, you remembered that.
But you and I both like kind of do our own thing anyways. We don't really get swayed by other people. So Let me look really quick. No, I can't because this guy is like one that you're going to be hawking, and I just can't. I can't let you know that I'm also going to be staring him down because he's like he's not super highly ranked this year, but he should be.
All right,
I'll just
nice. All right. Fair enough.
I feel like there was a quarterback that I liked. I kind of like Caleb Williams.
Fantasy Pros QB1.
I kind of like Caleb Williams. I know he's a rookie, but
yeah, but it would be just awful to spend like $25 on him, and he just kind of sucks.
Yeah, but dude, they have so many weapons. It's like ridiculous. Like their number 3 receiver is Roma Dunze, who would be. A lot of teams like number 1 budding star.
They have so many weapons that the section of Bears fandom that didn't want to let Justin Fields go is already making excuses for why Caleb is going to be better. we haven't even played a snap yet, and they're like, Justin Fields never had this. You know?
Yeah, that's what
Dude, Justin Fields
you're supposed to do. It's like when you sell a card.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel bad for Justin Fields. Right when he leaves, they add all these weapons.
Yeah, it is true. All right. We had another question on football from the Cardfather 13. I think we kind of did this last show. Which quarterbacks will enter the 2024 Flippers Vortex?
Will Levis.
Dude, Will Levis just had his Prison Black go for $35,000.
There you go. CJ Stroud.
Oh.
Anthony Richardson, Kyler Murray.
Yep.
Jordan Love sold for $145,000 last night.
That's nuts.
That's the list, right?
Yeah, that's a chunk of the list. There's so many quarterbacks, though, that really are in the Flippers Vortex. Tua is in the Flippers Vortex.
Desmond Ritter's on the Cardinals? Are you fucking kidding me?
Deshaun Watson is definitely in the Flippers Vortex. He's in the holdout Vortex.
In the washed Vortex.
We need a few more Vortexes, I think.
I have to get... All right, let's do this. Let's both do it. You go first. Right. Jets. Where are they going? This is like the big... This is everyone has a take on the Jets, and it's just like, I want to hear yours.
I just listened to that Simmons podcast today where everybody was high on the Jets.
They were high on the Jets?
Yeah. They have an easy division, kind of. I don't know. No, fuck, I'm low on the Jets. The Jets are out. No playoffs. No playoffs for the Jets.
I could see it going either way with Rodgers. Like, obviously the health thing with Rodgers, but I could also just see him playing out the season and like being old and not very good.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Bill talked me off the Jets because they were just trashing Robert Saleh.
Remember that last year with Brady? Like, it was like they made the playoffs, but it was kind of awkward.
Yeah.
And then they got like ran off the field by the Cowboys.
Oh, yeah. Do the Chargers.
Like the Harbaugh thing?
Yeah.
I'm just like a closet Herbert fan. Like, I'm still rooting for him, but I don't know.
I got the Chargers making the playoffs.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, they made the point. They're like, yeah, what'd they lose? Just like an old receiver and an old running back. Who cares? Like, they're still good. And a hurt receiver. Like, I get it. And they added a coach, and everyone's excited. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, no, one of the guests on Bill's show just completely sold me on Harbaugh.
Yeah.
He was like, dude, everywhere Harbaugh goes, every time he gets there, he doesn't even need a warm-up year. He just dominates.
The boss mode thing was really good. That was a great bit. Where he's like, like the video game boss thing, where he's like, first he had to go up against Pete Carroll, USC, and then Pete Carroll in Seattle, and then Big Bad Ohio State, and now he's got the ultimate boss in Mahomes and Reed. Yeah,
I don't think he's taken out that boss, but I think they can get to the playoffs.
Okay. So Herbert needs to stay healthy, though.
Yeah. Yes, he does. All right. Any other Vortex candidates here?
Vortex candidates. Have we coined that term yet?
Yeah, we own that term. That term's public art. No, pretty much everybody's in the Vortex. I think that's where I'm going to land on this.
Do you think that every team has hope again? That's what's so great about the NFL. They're just, except for like the Giants, maybe. Like, I'm trying to think of teams that have no hope. It's like the Giants and the Panthers, maybe. I don't know. Like, it just seems like every team has.
I'll give you a team with absolutely no hope. The New England Patriots.
Yeah, but they have a quarterback, a top 3 pick. Like, they've got some. You know what I mean? Like, there's always something to be excited about. The Saints, I feel like, don't have much to be excited about.
Yeah, right. Because at least the Patriots have like a really high quarterback pick.
Yeah, I mean, you could at least like, if I'm a Patriots fan, I'll at least just like say that over and over. The Raiders are bad.
Yeah, the Raiders are in a dark place.
Steelers.
The Vikings are in a bit of a dark place right now too. Yeah.
Yeah, that injury sucks.
Yeah, that's rough.
Man, the Bears though. You guys probably have like the most I would say like the most excitement. You got the new quarterback, the weapons look good, you got Hard Knocks, like it's just full steam ahead with the hype train.
It's a complete 180 from the end of last season.
Do you like the coach?
Somebody, Shield on Bill's show described him as just like a really traditional, or somebody did, like a really traditional coach who like isn't going to try to outsmart you. He just wants you to, play tough nose football. And I want the clever coach, So,
yeah, I want the Shanahan.
Right.
He's my favorite coach. Shanahan and McVay are my favorite coaches. That's what you need.
Yep.
I was like, will this motherfucker stop spending so much time giving everyone nicknames and start like coming up with better plays? Is that a good idea?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I think that's a really good idea. All right.
Should have got rid of Eberflus. Your brother doesn't like Eberflus.
No, he doesn't. And, Eberflus owns the last 3 seasons as much as Fields does.
He's got a beard now, though, so.
Yeah. All right. Let's get back to some questions here about the market. Oh, this is a bit of a lightning rod question. Soul Tough says, discuss the benefits or the disadvantages of listing 3 1984 star Jordan in-person autograph cards in one lot. Do you think they underperformed or exceeded expectations?
Did those jump into our sales history yet?
No, not yet. Those are going to be pending for about 2 weeks.
2 weeks?
But I do remember the figure.
Why 2 weeks?
That's about how long Alt has been taking to, confirm payments on the sale. I guess that's probably just the payment window.
What was the figure?
340,000.
So not 2 million?
Not 2 million, surprisingly.
Close, though. All right.
Yeah, and I think I was talking to some people who know these cards a little bit better than me, and they were
everybody.
Yeah, they were explaining. Well, I tossed them. I said, look, do you think like realistically the value breakdown here is the BGS 85 Auto 10 went for probably about 175,000, and then the 2 PSA copies, which were lower numerical grades and lower autograph grades, they probably split up the other portion of the payments. So they probably each went for like 80K each and like 175K for the BGS 85. And they're like, yeah, it's probably right. And if that is right, the last time the BGS 85 sold, it went for about 120K in 2022, which was a high market. So the BGS 85 Auto 10 is up significantly if it's worth around 175K now. It's up 50%, 40 to 50%.
Right.
So did it, people want these to be bazillion-dollar cards, and they're not. But did it go up substantially since 2022, since the last sale? Yeah, it looks like it did.
Yeah. You just can't beat you can't have something where you're creating these cards and getting them autographed and having these backdoor meetings with Michael Jordan, and you're making all these weird ways to create the cards versus a one-of-one logo man that was created in 2003, a non-playing year card. And it has this one window in time when it was created, it was authenticated, was put into a pack, etc., and it's over. And now it's like we don't know the population of these Fleers and Stars because we don't know if he's going to start losing more golfing bets,
Yep, fair. So I think that a lot of people were hoping for a lot more than 340, but if you take a more reasonable point of view on it, there has been value appreciation in that star autograph from the last sale.
The word I'm looking for is contrived.
Contrived. That's a good word. All right, so Yeah Man Cards has a question here, Mohammed. He says, what do you think about duplicate cards? First, the 1999 Bonds PMG 1 out of 50 shows up on the market with 2 copies. 2 copies numbered 1 of 50, both authentic, and both authenticated by PSA. And then the PSA Manning 1998 Ultra Masterpiece has the 2 copies, which we've already talked about as well. What do you think about cards having backup copies?
It reduces confidence a lot in that type of card, man. I mean, I don't see how it can. It sucks. And especially when they're both created by PSA. How does PSA let that happen?
Well, from PSA's point of view, they don't have any way to tell which one was pack issued, presumably.
You think
and they're both authentic, you know?
You think in the scenario that so they're implying that like this is a mistake by the manufacturer and like they're both real?
Yeah, more than likely, this is the result of the 2005 Fleer bankruptcy, where there were replacement copies that didn't get destroyed that were sitting in desk drawers. And when the company went bankrupt, that stuff got liquidated to pay off creditors, all of it. And then once it got liquidated, now it's out in the ether, and some of them made it to market and didn't get to, people won that stuff at the auction. And then also, stuff can just walk out the door. Yeah. The replacement copy, a replacement copy can leave. It can be gifted to an executive, never intended to be distributed, and then oops, got distributed. So
yeah, if I had one of the two, that is what the kids call giving me the ick. That is a big turnoff for me to have a card that is serial numbered 1 of 50, and there's a that's also real, the exact same card, and someone else owns it. It's kind of the whole point. You've got this one copy to yourself. It's not good.
Great point. I agree with that. I think it's more of a problem for cards numbered to 50, that there actually might be 60.
Yeah.
Rather than 50, there might be 100. So it requires an adjustment of expectations and an adjustment of the understanding of how many are in circulation. I think it's slightly less of a problem for the one-of-ones. One backup copy is not the end of the world, but it puts an asterisk on the card that, from now on, that matters. There is a second backup copy of this, and it makes provenance super important. Which one was, so for example, there was a Brady masterpiece that sold, a Brady Mystique masterpiece sold in the Fanatics Collect auction Thursday night. And it was graded by Beckett prior to 2005, like 3 years prior to the bankruptcy. So that's rock solid provenance.
Right.
It would be really tough without a copy of that card graded even prior to say that any card other than that is the pack issued, legitimate one-of-one, supposing a backup copy were ever to exist. So, but it starts to get complicated. You have to start talking about things and explaining things. Yeah, there's the card, the Fleer.
There's not even subgrades on the front. That's all it is.
Yeah. So but it's less than ideal.
Yeah, there's just like a bunch of these rules now that we have to follow for 90s that we've known about for a while. It seems like some of them keep popping up, but like the uncut sheets of like the jambalayas and then like the Playmaker Theater that are unserial numbered and stuff, and then there's like the forged fake serial numbers. Now there's the duplicate serial numbers. There's a lot.
Yeah, indeed. Okay, so WTF Frankie podcast says, is a one-of-one still a one-of-one if the replacement copy finds its way to the market?
If you can prove you have the older one, yeah.
Agreed. All right.
So are we saying that the autographed one is the bankruptcy one?
Yeah.
And that's based on,
I don't know what that's based on, but I'm pretty sure that that's what the owner once had both and then like sold one to Drake, I think. So I think that he knew.
How did he know?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know the background there. All right.
He autographed the wrong one.
I mean, yeah, that would not be good.
He's like, he walks it up to Manning, and he's like, here you go. Wait a minute, did I just switch hands? I was holding the left. Oh, God, I don't know which is which.
Yeah. All right, so we just talked about how well, realistically speaking, the Star autograph did even though it didn't sell for millions, but it is increased in value. But now we have another question here from Braun Reeves PC, who says, please discuss 1984 star market manipulation. And it's not regarding the autographs. It's regarding 3 sales that he showed me that all happened in the Fanatics vault. And I'm not really sure what to make of this, but I think it's worth sharing and let people make up their own mind about it. So on August 3rd, a BGS 85 Star 101 MJ sold for $45,000. And then on August 17th, the same exact copy sold for $55,000, also coming out of the Fanatics vault. And then on August 19th, the same exact copy sold again from the Fanatics vault for $65,500. So 3 sales within a period of 3 weeks of the same exact slab, with an REA auction in between that's sold for in the similar price range. So it's just worth flagging, and it's worth thinking about and being careful that, what are the possible scary things that might be happening here? Well, one of them is that these are not truly arm's length transactions, but instead a few people are selling this card back and forth to themselves in the vault.
That is a pop 254 card.
Yeah.
So even for the people that are like, oh, the star is so much more rare than the Flair, it's true. It is more rare, but it's still not rare.
Yeah. And I would just, So
what I'm saying is it's semi-easy to manipulate if it's not rare. It's just not that hard to get.
Correct. Always good to be vigilant and kudos to the question asker who noticed that, because those links are all still live in the Fanatics vault as sales. But man, that's one hot potato being passed around if they are all true arm's length transactions. So it's just something to be careful about. I think anytime a card, increases from 45,000 to 65,000 in 3 weeks, it's probably not a bad idea to be careful there. All right. Finally, let's just close with this on the market talk stuff. McDoyle Sports says, I'm concerned by large swings in value. We need to promote slow, steady growth.
Oh. Well said, Matt. Well said.
Yep. Agreed.
That's just I wish that could be the slogan of the hobby. Can't we all just take our 5 to 10% growth and just, those are the days, man. Those were the days.
Yeah. Yep. Great.
Then you get the best of both worlds. That's like the ultimate dream, isn't it? That we can tell our families, our spouses, our friends, hey, I've got this hobby that I love, and I spend a lot of my time in it. I'm researching, talking with people in the community, and it's also doubling as my super boring 401k that I'm told I have to have as an adult. I can do 2 things at once. That is the ultimate hobby dream.
It is, man. It really is. And it would be nice. It would be nice. That card letter collection value, that thing can swing day to day as this market is so volatile.
Yeah, all right. Even with the amount of cards we're tracking, and to see a 6% jump on the football index is pretty substantial for 1 month. Do you agree?
Dude, if that sustained for a 12-month period, that's absurd.
Everything doubles in a year. Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a ton. It's an absolute ton. And you have stuff like Mahomes who, is okay. So, I did a little research. I don't know if we'll ever need to talk about it on the show, but I thought we might. But
you said you had this thing. You were like, be ready. You said, look at this thing, study this.
Yeah,
Let's go.
I thought this was going to come up in the context of the Manning cards, but it really just didn't.
Okay.
But I made what I'm calling the NFL MVP pyramid, aka the GOAT cheat sheet, and it's just like the same thing I've done for basketball. I just look at who has the most MVPs, regular season and Super Bowl. Tom Brady has 8. Peyton Manning has 6. Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, and Joe Montana have 5. And then you start getting there's about 8 or 9 people who have 3. Kurt Warner, Brett Favre, Steve Young, etc. And then there's a few more, 7 or 8 more who have 2. Okay. So Mahomes is a guy who's already a top 5 quarterback of all time by this metric. And in the distance between him getting that 5th MVP and today, his market's up like 45%. That is crazy volatility for a guy who just went from 4 to 5 MVPs. So it's a big swing. It's a big swing. It's like, you can't even collect Mahomes and expect stability.
43% year to date.
Yeah. Yep.
His graph is crazy over the last 2 years.
Yeah, it is.
Look at this. It's like way up here, and then way down here, and then way back, halfway back up. Crazy.
Exactly. So,
and he's been like so consistent. I feel like he's been like consistently showing us what's happening. He won a Super Bowl. He's got an MVP. They have some bad luck or whatever. Just like that's how football and sports go. Then he comes back and he makes a Super Bowl and he loses one. And it's just like he's very consistent. He makes the AFC Championship game every year. We know what we're going to get out of Mahomes. We're getting the 4,500 yards. We're getting the 30 touchdowns.
Yeah. All right. There were a few questions that came in about CT scanning, including from 1956 Tops guy and Paul Holt, who I actually met in Traverse City by chance, which was really cool. I'm just going to refer those gentlemen, and they have good comments, but like we've beaten up this topic. We did a few different segments on a few different shows. I'll just refer those guys to, if they care to hear our thoughts, to the last show. But 1956 Tops guy has been sending out some good stories sort of about the science of CT scanning. I don't fully understand all of it, but they're worth following along if you care about that. All right, now let's get to the rest. Two questions here from the Cardfather 13 and Junk Wax Packs about the Gem Mint SGC 10 Wilt Chamberlain 1961 clear that was revealed by SGC earlier today.
Wow. That's a big one.
Have you followed that at all?
I saw it. I saw this question come through and I saw SGC post it, yeah.
Yeah, so Peter of SGC made a video. It's the highest graded Wilt by SGC. It's the only SGC Gem Mint 10. Just, let's see. Per the Slab Stocks post here, SGC Pete said this is virtually impossible to have a card in this condition due to all the printing and centering errors. And this card is 63 years old. He said, this card may well be the most impressive trading card I've ever seen in my time at SGC.
Wow.
And the card sat in a closet at a grocery store for decades.
I pulled up the pop report. There's 3 PSA 10s. There's 32 9s. There's 1 SGC 10 now. And then 6 SGC 9s. So yeah, it's a pretty huge deal in the hobby and for SGC, obviously, to grade their first 10. It's coming from a grocery store closet, and it's one of the most valuable cards in the world.
Yeah. So to add on to that, so PSA has 32 9s, Beckett has 1 9, and SGC has 6 9s.
BBG.
Sorry, BBG, yeah. And BBG has no gem mints.
Right.
PSA has 3 gem mints. Now SGC has added a 4th.
Yep.
So that's probably close to $1 million card.
It's probably more.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's somewhere around there.
Yeah. Big card.
I mean, the fact that it's a pop 1 for SGC makes it a big deal.
Yes, it does. And only 3 other gems out there in the PSA 10. So
I've always liked that card in the vintage world. We obviously don't love vintage, but to have Wilt Chamberlain, one of the guys, he's obviously a big standout in the vintage world. It's a great card.
absolutely. Consensus top 5 all-time player.
Better than Bill Russell. Bill Russell
All right.
played on Team USA, and Wilt Chamberlain played for Serbia. That's the analogy.
I like this comment from Red Sold Ball Cards. No bidding war over this. I think it's more important to our hobby than a triple auto from players who are still alive.
It would sell for more, probably.
Yeah, I think it would sell for more too.
Did we get any questions about the triple?
No, we did not.
People are just so over it.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't want any social media attention, but here's 17 posts about it.
Well, why don't these guys make a bounty for this?
Yeah. Because it's it's easier to glob onto a modern card that we have no idea what the value is worth to just make all the content versus the Wilt. We have some goalposts. We know generally what it's worth because there's a history to it.
Yeah, and because the point of a bounty is to summon a card, and we don't know where this one is, and we know who has it, and we're eventually going to know who has that triple as well. So a lot of I mean, probably, but there's a lot of attention seeking going on surrounding that card. This is a hot topic, so how can I associate my name with it?
The funniest part of it is some of the influencers are I won't say names, but they're guys, here's my offer, and the reason I want to make this giant offer is because it's going to be a collector's item. I just can't wait to add it to my Olympics PC. Also, I'll be partnering with Sotheby's to auction it. It's what the fuck? This is just all a big marketing ploy to partner with an auction company to sell it. It has nothing to do with who wants it the most in their collection.
Yep, that's the impression that I get too. All right. This is an interesting question from Lauren. Lauren goes here, says, and don't worry, there's an acronym that you're not going to know what it is. Maybe you know what it is. I didn't know what it is, but I looked it up and I'll fill in the gaps.
How dare you?
The NWSLPA.
Hold on a second. Yeah, no clue.
They just got their CBA passed, and it eliminates the draft, and it adopts player-approved trading. So the NWSLPA is the National Women's Soccer League Players Association, and they abolished the draft and all other draft events, and all future trades require player consent. So there's no more drafts. Everybody's just a free agent.
So this is Bill Russell going to the Celtics. You just pick the team you want?
Yes. The new CBA eliminates all draft events, and it introduces free agency for all.
This is how, isn't this how soccer in Europe works? Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm just
I have no idea.
I was always under the impression people just kind of went to whatever team they felt like.
Well, and they can't be traded without approval. Okay, so this is
from the PA,
from the player being traded.
People are saying I'm correct. I was totally guessing, but
nice. So okay,
because I know that players will come up through the system of different soccer clubs. They'll be they'll be a 12-year-old, and they'll just be recruited to this team like a school basically, and they'll grow up with these teams, and then they'll eventually get to their their primary, adult male team or whatever. So maybe they're doing something similar here.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So then Lauren continues. What do you think those standards would look like in the context of the NBA or the NFL? And could you ever see that happening? So let's just assume, to be extra clear, what we're talking about is no more drafting. Everybody is a free agent. Free agency for all, no draft. And you as a player have approval rights over any trade involving you. So a team cannot just trade you. You have to approve it.
Wouldn't this come to like salary cap issues? If there's no salary cap, it turns into like the Lakers and the Knicks. If there is a salary cap, that changes things a lot.
Yeah. Well, I mean, let's assume that the NBA and the NFL continue to have salary caps, but now all the power is with the players. You can't draft them. They can go sign with anybody they want to go sign with, and they have to approve any trade.
So everybody is Eli Manning and John Elway.
Yeah.
I don't know. This is like one of those questions that I'm not good at answering because of all the butterfly effect things that have to happen here. There's a lot.
Yeah, it would be bizarre, I think, for this to happen.
So it's just like Team USA. Joel Embiid can just go wherever he wants.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
You can't trade me to Cameroon.
That's a good example, sort of like the way Team USA treats the Olympics. It would kind of be like that, where you can go, you have to recruit players to join you. I think it could definitely lead to maybe a bit of team stacking. I don't know because you still have the salary caps, like you said. I don't know. It's a huge question.
Don't you feel like one of the reasons the NFL is so popular is the parity and like the eternal hope from every team?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, and I mean, you probably like look at the New York Knicks now. They got all the Villanova guys together.
Yeah.
So you have Bridges, Brunson, DiVincenzo. One other. Oh, isn't there one other guy too?
Bridges, Brunson, DiVincenzo,
Hart. So they kind of did it there.
But those guys were all old enough to get into the free agency game.
Yeah, and like some of them, like Brunson, took pay cuts to do it.
Yeah, what if Caleb Williams was like, "Sorry, Chicago, I'm going to New York Giants or whatever. I just changed my mind."
Yeah, there would probably be pretty steep penalties for smaller market teams potentially here.
Wemby probably wouldn't have gone to the Spurs.
Right. Yeah, and so like what would probably happen is that the big markets would, save their assets for the big stars who are going to be more inclined to go to them, and all the other stars sort of will still get paid well, but they'll be relegated to the smaller market.
Giannis wouldn't be in Milwaukee. Shea wouldn't be in OKC. I kind of like these guys on. I don't want to call them random teams because they're not random cities. They're real, but like I kind of like the randomness of it.
That's a good point. I wonder how much. I don't know what the average NL or NWSL. Sorry, I don't know what the average NWSL salary is. Yeah. But I think what cushions the blow for the lack of autonomy that NFL and NBA players have relative to what the NWSLPA just got approved is that they get paid so much money. But like if the NWSL, if the players in the National Women's Soccer League are making relatively more modest salaries, it might be a better trade-off for them. The fact they're not getting as much salaries, but they have way more control. Yeah. Okay, we don't get paid as much, but we have a lot more power over where we play and who we play with, whether we can get traded, etc. That might be a factor here. That might be sort of what granted the players the power to get this approved. Yeah. And I think that's going to be a harder sell for the NBA and the NFL.
But if there was still a salary cap, I think players would probably prefer to have the $300 million contracts over being the...
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, I think if the league was able to go to the Players Association and the National Women's Soccer League and say, we're going to pay you an average salary of $10 million apiece, but you're not going to get to have the rights to consent to your trade or not, and we're going to reinstitute the draft. I think they'd take it.
Yeah, you seem like you're more interested in the players' no trade clause part of it.
It's interesting, yeah, and it's such a butterfly effect thing, like you said.
Like, I'm thinking about Chris Paul got traded so many times at the end of his career. What if he just was like, fuck all this, like, I'm picking where I'm going now.
right, exactly. Which does happen, Brandon Ayuk is in a big contract standoff with the 49ers, and as they were trying to solve it, they were letting him pick where he wanted to go.
Yeah.
One of the teams that made a strong offer for him that was going to pay him a higher salary than the 49ers was the Patriots. And he said no.
He's like, yeah, I want to win more than 2 games, so I'm good.
Right, exactly. All right.
Brock Purdy ain't looking so bad anymore, huh?
Right. Okay.
I did. Did you notice Ruiz didn't say much about Purdy today? I was like, what's going on there, buddy? You cat out your tongue? You forgot to.
I was waiting.
Where's your hot take? Let's go.
I was waiting for hot take number 1 to be like, yeah, Purdy's gonna suck this year.
His biggest hot take was Bryce Young is small. Yeah, thanks. We know.
He said he's working on the new football quarterback rankings, so
he's gonna sort all the stats and then reverse it, and that'll be his ranking.
Purdy actually fell to 27th this year.
He basically was like, Stroud's the best quarterback ever. That's basically what he's saying.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Let's see here. Really cool card says, who is your favorite rookie in the new class? And did not specify a sport. So I'm guessing football.
Favorite rookie in the new class for football? Are we talking quarterbacks?
Sure. Doesn't need to be, but
let's pull up the draft. 2024 NFL draft. Do you want me to read you some names?
You can, but just so you know, I'm not going to have an opinion on this because I don't pay much attention to college football.
All right. First, Caleb Williams. You know this guy?
He should be pretty good.
I'm pretty excited about him, just as an outsider, and I'm going to obviously pay attention to him through you and Nick, and you guys will be excited. I'm pretty excited. He looks pretty good.
Yep, I'm cautiously optimistic. He's had some really good preseason showings, so.
Yep. They, Eberflus had him in his office. He's like, what went well today? And I wanted to be like, well, I hit a 2-yard screen pass that went for 60, so that helped. That was pretty good.
Exactly.
I'm excited about Marvin Harrison as a Cardinals fan. It's supposed to be one of the top receiver prospects of the last 10 years or whatever, comparing him to Calvin Johnson, so that'll be cool.
Okay, good.
Hope he's good.
Good.
Bo Nix, Brock Bowers. Let's just stick with Marvin Harrison and Caleb Williams.
David Owens told me Brock Bowers might be a sneaky tight end pick.
For fantasy? I love his story post is so funny. He's like, I did 300 fantasy drafts. Ask me anything.
I did. I started asking him.
Yeah, man. He knows what's going on. He knows so the questions you want to ask guys like that are doing 300 drafts is who are the guys that are going above and below sort of the ESPN projections that I know to be prepared for this guy to randomly go for $50,
Yeah, he gave me 15 Twitter accounts.
Oh my God.
I was just dude, just give me a headline, just tell me draft this guy, he's underrated.
I was like, your league isn't real if you don't do PPR. He's like, your league isn't real if you're not in 12 leagues that are all best ball, 12-year dynasty best ball leagues with. It's David is to me as I am to someone playing fantasy football for the first time in their life.
Yep. David's out of control. All right. Here's a fun one from 90s basketball cards. Jake.
TLDR.
Yeah. Jake says this. We have talked about the Flippers Vortex.
This title is just making itself this week.
It is. Let's hear about the content vortex. The content vortex. When is it time to let a topic go? We see a lot more content about content. The bounties on top of bounties and content about the bounties is a recent example, or CT scanning and then content about what others said about a given piece of content about CT scanning. Can we as a community determine when to call it quits on a topic, or is it all fair game and we should buckle up to see content about the content about a piece of content that reviewed someone's content?
I was going to say, isn't this question the content about the content about the content?
I guess it is. That's a good point.
Yeah, it's just all like clickbait, like farming stuff. Like, this is the hot topic. This will get you the most engagement, so just pump it out. This isn't like genuine in most cases, so just get used to it.
Bingo. But a well-written question from Jake.
I'd refer you to the mute option on Instagram. It's great.
That's a good option.
I've muted a lot of people.
It's a very good option. One day you're going to wake up and log into Instagram and be like, nobody said anything today? Like, oh, shit, I muted everybody.
Yeah. Sometimes you'll be like, hey, did you see this? And I'm like, nope, I muted that guy. Oh, never mind.
All right. What else here? Oh, this came from Junk Wax Packs. He put some thought into this hypothetical question. You need to raise funds. Suppose you need to raise funds for a new purchase, and there are two cards that you can move. Card A has a higher population, over 200. It is possible to reacquire, but you would be selling at a 50% loss. Card B has a lower population, less than 20. It's more difficult to reacquire, but you would be selling for a 200% profit. Which card do you sell? The higher pop that you're losing 50% on, or the rarer card that you're gaining 200%?
Oh man, I like the thought experiment. But you still gotta think in a vacuum. You gotta ignore the past. You gotta go with the one that you believe is the better one to sell, the higher pop.
Right.
That's the answer.
Right. That's exactly. This question is sunk fallacy bait.
Sunk fallacy, yes.
This is sunk cost fallacy bait.
That's the title. Sunk fallacy cost bait. With a little fishing line.
All right.
That's a good one.
All right.
Sunk cost fallacy bait. It is. Yeah, you got to go with the higher pop one.
Agreed. Dump the higher pop one. That's what I would do. All right. Okay. From TJ is online. Will the big guys ever get? I have an answer to this. Will the big guys in the hobby ever get love? Before taking my hobby sabbatical in late 1992, guys like David Robinson, Hakeem Olajuwon, Patrick Ewing, and rookie Shaquille O'Neal got tons of hobby love. So did the retired greats like Wilt and Bill Russell and Kareem, etc. What needs to happen for the big guys to get hobby love again? And I replied to this in the comment section, and I said the center position has the most players with $1 million card. Mikan, Kareem, Wilt, Bill Russell, and Wemby all have $1 million cards. And then TJ replied, that's a good point. I should have clarified better. Compared to guards and forwards, center get little love outside of the rare high-grade vintage cards and Wemby. Okay, so here's my reply to this. All right, my reply to this is, and this is not just TJ, I think we all do this to some extent. I think we are confusing cause and effect on this question. I don't think that the reason big centers or whatever don't sell well in the instances of Dave Robinson, Olajuwon, Duncan, and others, it's not because they're big. It's because they are not the era-defining players for their particular generation. So look, for example, at the players of the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, and the 70s. there were a lot of guards who played during that time. As far as I know, there was still 5 players from each team on the floor, and 2 of them were guards, 2 were forwards, and a center. But the players who define that era and who have the highest selling cards in that era are all centers. It's George Mikan, it's Bill Russell, it's Wilt Chamberlain, it's Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. The centers dominates that era. Why? Because they were the best players of that era. They were the players who defined the era. When you think about the 40s and the 50s, you think about George Mikan. When you think about the 60s and the 70s, you think about Bill Russell, you think about Wilt, and then in the 70s, you think about Kareem. These are the era-defining players. Well, it just so happens that the era-defining players of the 80s, Bird and Magic, we're talking forwards. Of the 90s, Michael Jordan and Kobe, we're talking guards. Of the 2000s, Kobe and LeBron, talking forwards. 2010s, Steph Curry and LeBron, guard and forwards. The players who have defined these different eras just so happen to be guards and forwards more recently. The players who define the earlier eras happen to be centers. So I think the cause of which players are the most desired is who is the player who defines the era, who collectors and people who are nostalgic for that era are going to remember the era by, and who they're going to target and focus. And the effect is centers and bigs get a lot of love during the 50s, 60s, 70s, and not so much from the 80s, 90s, and the 2010s. And you know what is putting this theory to the test? Look at Victor Wembanyama. Yeah. Victor Wembanyama has multiple $1 million cards right now. There's a bounty for an unlicensed card of Victor Wembanyama that's $1 million bounty. If Wembanyama becomes the player who defines the 2020s, we will have a center who sells very well.
Shaq, would you say he's an era-defining player? He's got cards, 180 grand, 80 grand. Shaq has really expensive cards. He's big.
He does. He is a good counterpoint, though, to my point, because Shaq sells for a fraction of Kobe.
Yeah.
And you can make the argument that, I don't even think it's an argument. He was the best player on 3 of those Lakers championship teams. So that's a good counterpoint. And then the question arises, is it fair to say Kobe is the era-defining player of the 2000s and LeBron, but when it comes to Kobe versus Shaq, is it fair that Kobe's the era-defining player when Shaq was the Finals MVP for 3 of the 5 titles and Kobe was for only 2 of the later ones?
Yeah.
It's a fair point. It's a fair question. And it shows that maybe the era-defining player isn't always the best player. So, but it's a very interesting question. I'm glad that TJ raised it, but I don't really buy into the idea that centers, people don't like centers because we can't relate to tall people or whatever.
Right.
I don't subscribe to that. I think that if a center comes along and they are the dominant player of their time, that collectors are going to gravitate to them.
Wemby had a shimmer card sell for 500 grand.
Right. Exactly.
He's doing all right.
All right. Glad I got a chance to get to that one. That was a good question.
Has this black been pulled?
Yes. Remember, there was a there was a scandal surrounding Kurt's card carrying that Prism Black.
Oh yeah. So it was moved privately or something. Someone has it.
I don't know. We stopped hearing about that.
Oh, didn't he oh, check it out, guys. This was with Kurt. He told us that he gave it to Kurt. He was bragging about it, that he got it past PSA. Right. Yeah.
Yep, that would be the one.
I remember that one.
All right. But all 3 of Wemby's Prism 1-of-1s have shown up in PSA slabs. You have the Prism Black, the Black Shimmer, and the Nebula is also in a PSA slab too. So they're all out there. This is from the previous show. This is from Simply Cards 2014. I really wish the hobby talked more about our binder projects.
Like hobby content people or what?
Or maybe just Instagram pages. I don't know.
Totally, man. Do it.
Timmy D21PC says from last show, why do we always want cards that we cannot have, and then we get them but still feel incomplete?
Oh, yeah, that's just my life story. I'm more angry by I'm more passionate about the cards I'm not winning and not acquiring through private deals. I'm so angry about it. And then if I did get them, I'd be like, all right, what's next? I totally get that.
And we said we were sending Prison Mike to the back of the line. Well, this is the back of the line, Prison Mike. This is actually a question of his from last show. When trying to rank one of ones for a particular player, what characteristics do you use and in what order? So, for example, I like to prioritize year, the legacy of the set, the aesthetics, or the parallel type, such as a superfractor or a black finite. I would like to hear your thoughts and thank for punching back in tonight, guys.
Nobody asked for your opinion, Prison Mike. No, he nailed it. He's got all the attributes down. Did he say rarity?
He's talking about 1-of-1, so rarity is already
just
big.
1-of-1s. Yeah, he's got it. Year set. So I go rookie, right? It's got to be a rookie if you're ranking it in like the brand, then the aesthetic. He's got it.
Yep. Agreed. Well done. All right. Let's pick a name and let's call it a show.
And we are not doing this next week. Fantasy football drafts.
That's right. Fantasy football. Everybody take the week. You don't have to think about questions for the crossovers. That should save you a few hours at least. And you can study for your drafts.
Dude, everyone should be doing their fantasy drafts next weekend, not this weekend. What if someone gets hurt?
Exactly.
So you know what that means, though, right? That the next, ready for this statement? The next time we do this show will be the day after opening night of the NFL.
Which is what, Thursday night?
Every year, we do my fantasy drafts the Friday before opening night, Thursday.
Yep. And who is the Thursday night game?
Yes.
I don't know who it is.
Chiefs.
Is it usually like the Super Bowl team?
Yeah, it's always the Super Bowl. So the Chiefs and let me pull it up. Chiefs and that's last year. The Chiefs and the Ravens, September 5th, 2024, Arrowhead Stadium. That's a good game.
Very good game.
The Jets play the Niners week 1. That's gonna be fucking awesome.
And I think it's in San Francisco, right? So it's Aaron Rodgers' return to his hometown.
Let's go.
Yeah.
They're gonna be 0-1.
It'll be good.
New York media is gonna panic already.
Did you see the clip of him like throwing a 50-yard bomb to Garrett Wilson in practice?
Yeah, that was the 8th attempt. They're like, all right, let's do that one again. Come on back.
All right. Here are the possible.
Let's get predictions on that game.
Chiefs destroy them.
Destroy them? Oh, then
Yeah.
I have to say Ravens.
Yeah.
Derrick Henry is going to be. This is his one healthy game of the year. Derrick Henry's going to go nuts.
God, they have Derrick Henry now.
Zay Flowers.
I got to stay with
everyone's
it.
healthy.
I got to stick with it. I think the Chiefs are coming out guns blazing.
Don't forget, they lost their opening game last year to the Lions.
Yeah, I remember. That was
a great game.
And that was a good preview into the Lions, who eventually went to the NFC Championship game.
Yeah, that ended up being a really important game.
Yeah,
2 great teams.
Yeah. All right. So we have more Starbucks than bathrooms. Full plebeian mode. 8 packs of Big League.
Just picturing that sitting at the bottom of the bag and nothing else. I'd be like, are you fucking kidding me?
Make it cool again to have a job.
A normal job.
Never FOMO, never YOLO.
Right.
New little wrinkle. The washed Vortex.
Yeah, we got to sneak Vortex in
Yeah,
here.
Vortex is definitely coming up. Out in the ether, give me the ick. In a closet at the grocery store.
In a closet at the grocery. Oh,
The Wilt.
That's crazy.
You can't trade me to Cameroon. The sunk cost fallacy boats.
Bait.
Sorry, bait. Sorry.
But it would be a cool boat to be on.
It would be a cool boat. Yeah, it would be a sunken boat.
Well, actually, yeah, it'd be a sunken boat.
And finally, we can't relate to tall people. just put an emoji of Justin.
I like the wash Vortex. And what was that most recent one we giggled about? The Cameroon.
You can't trade me to Cameroon.
Those are my top two.
All right, I'll break the tie. The wash Vortex.
Can you do the tornado emoji or something?
Yeah, okay, the tornado emoji. That's
the Twister movie. That's very
good.
Very big right now.
Is it? Is there a new tornado movie out?
Well, there's the original movie Twister. They remade it. It's
okay. Have you ever lived in a tornado alley?
No, but my son was really worried about them, and he always is asking me. He's like, "So just to be clear, Arizona does not have twisters or tornadoes." That's correct. He's like, because he has a map on his wall, and he's like, "Well, they're usually in this area, so we don't have to worry about it." No, we don't.
That's good.
Have you had those in Illinois?
Yeah, you can get plenty of tornado watches and warnings in Illinois.
What's the biggest tornado that could possibly roll through Illinois? What could it pick up?
Dude, it could tear up buildings and structures.
Holy shit.
Yeah, you have basements in Illinois in part so that you can take refuge from the twisters.
Wow. All right. Well, I'm living in the right place then.
Yeah. You know, what's interesting is that Dallas can get tornadoes too, but I guess the high rises are built in a way that they sustain the tornado and they sort of move with it. And
yeah. I remember reading about that where the buildings sway and people get nervous, but that's by design.
Yeah, it's nuts. All right,
engineering feat.
Good luck everybody in your drafts, and we'll see you not next week.
CY Card Ladder is the most respected sports card analytics app on the market. We have virtually every card in our system. If the card you are looking for ever sold on one of these platforms, you can find it using Card Ladder's sales history. Easily find recent comps and get a better estimate what your cards are worth. CY Card Ladder is the most trusted and the most reliable sports card analytics app on the market. We know what you want, because Card Ladder was created by collectors for collectors. Join the innovators, not the imitators. Card Ladder, constantly innovating. Try it for free. CY Card Ladder is the industry leader in sports card data. Card Ladder, we're just getting started.